we're live on YouTube now. And let me record. All right, so let me mute here. All. Unmute you, Alan, and then we're going to get started here. All right. Okay, welcome to the kickoff meeting. This is our first of many weekly live calls for small business owners. And so today we got kind of a smaller group to get started, which is really cool because we get to ask all kinds of questions. And you get to ask your questions about your business and the challenges that you have, the opportunities that you have. And you got myself and you got Alan Reeves on the call. So before I get started, let me let Alan, why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about your background, who you are, what it is that you do, how long you've been in business, and why you're a co-host of this.
Well, I'm a co-host because I got a good friend named John Pyron who asked me to step up. So yeah, I'm Alan Reeves, also known as Woody. I started my first IT company in February of 1998. So we just rolled into our 24th year of operation. Going forward, I like to say to prospects that our company is older than Google, not quite as successful or revenue generating, but we're working on that every day. We started out just what in the IT field is called break fix, meaning just very responsive. As times changed, we moved over to a more manageable business model where we're providing outsourced IT services. Mouse Calls is an anomaly in that it has services for businesses as well as consumers. We, working with John some years ago, found a way to make that profitable and make it work. We started focusing very much on the cybersecurity and compliance aspects quite a bit earlier than a lot of IT companies. I was one of 10 IT business owners picked to attend a cybersecurity boot camp in Baltimore in 2015. Spent about 3 days having the crap scared out of me, seeing what was going on out there and the threats to modern businesses. And believe me, that was just a taste of what was to come in this day and age. I've also since started another company called Luminosity, and Luminosity exists to provide value-added services to IT companies and all kinds of other companies, such as realtors, car dealers, security companies, you name it. So we stay very busy.
Fantastic. And so for those of you that do not know who I am, so my name is John Pyron. They call me the business doctor, and it's not by mistake. Somebody gave me that nickname a long time ago when somebody asked me, you should coach business owners. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. And they go, no, you just tell them what to do. And I'm like, I can do that. And I've had a lot of fun since 2014. I built 7 different businesses over the last 31 years. I absolutely love business challenges, problems, the game of business, building teams, building companies that run very smoothly, companies that run without the owner, and just enjoy the whole process. I mean, my oldest client's been with me for close to 7 years, month to month. Over half my clients have been with me for more than 5. And, it's just a joy to be able to grow a company, build a business, because the one thing that all businesses have in common is they all have problems. And the moment you don't have problems is when the big storm is getting ready to happen. Because if you're growing, you're going to have constant problems, especially when you have people involved. So today, we're just going to kind of go over a couple things. Number one is I'm going to go over a morning routine and how taking care of yourself as a business owner is probably the most important thing that you can do in your entire business. If you don't take care of you, that business will ultimately stagnate. It will hit a ceiling, because John Maxwell wrote a long time ago, it's the law of the lid. The business will never outgrow the self-image of the owner. So we're going to talk about how to prevent that from happening. We're going to talk about referral systems, especially in this day and age, how to leverage your power base, how to create referral systems in your business. I don't know about you, but I am not a big fan of making a bunch of cold calls. Not against making cold calls. Cold calls work, no matter what anybody says, but I personally don't want to do them. If that's your gig, then great. I can help you out with that as well. And then I want to talk about some challenges that I've had with my own existing clients over the last week or two as it relates to employees. Because when you get to a certain point, the only way, as a small business owner, you could probably get to $750,000 a year, maybe 1.2, 1.5 million. But at some point, you're going to have to bring on a team. You're going to have to bring on employees if you want to scale. And this is the biggest challenge that I run into with small business owners, hands down. And 99% of the time, the owner is the problem. And so I want to talk about how to prevent that from happening to you, what you can do to execute, some systems and processes that you can put in place that will allow you to scale beyond yourself. Because I don't know about you, I started a business for freedom, to be able to get my personal freedom, to be able to have a company that produces an income for me and my family, and to hit other goals and objectives I have on a personal level and not have to work my brains out. So Robert Kiyosaki, one of my good friends, I met him in 1999, had an opportunity to speak on stage with him in 2000. He wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then the second book was The Cash Flow Quadrant. And he talks about self-employed versus business owner. And they're two separate types of businesses. Self-employed means that you do everything, you're running everything, the entire business centers around you. You can't take a vacation, you can't take a break, you can't go anywhere. And basically all you've done is you went from the E quadrant, the employee quadrant, and you now have a self-employed business where you own your job. And like myself and many other small business owners that have been down this road, at some point you reach a pivot, you reach a point where you're like, man, I hate my job and I own the company, and that's a problem, And so I want to talk about how to prevent that from happening. Then I want to land on a couple of things around the things that we don't really like to talk about. That's not sexy, that's not attractive, which is bookkeeping and accounting. And then I want to open it up for Q&A for anybody on the live call. And then Alan and I, because Alan, you've been in business for how long?
We are just now in our 24th year.
24th year. And so I'm 51, so I've been doing this for 31 years. So 56 years of combined experience here. And so Alan and I are going to banter back and forth on different business challenges, different aha moments. And our whole goal on this call is to help you, the small business owner, because most of you are going to listen to the recording. And we want to help you, the small business owner, be able to not make the mistakes that we've made, or learn from the mistakes that we've made, and get the lessons that we've learned, and be able to accelerate your growth in your business. I was sitting down, in fact, Phil invited me to a cigar shop, I think, 2 nights ago, Phil? And we're sitting down with a guy who just started an IT company, like brand new, right out of the gate, got upset with his employer, just like I have done, just like most small business owners have done, and I can do it better, and I'm going to go out and do my own thing. And I'm sitting there listening to the guy, and I'm going, he's like, man, I am working 60, 70 hours a week making less money than what I made, but I'm fired up, you know? And he's describing all the things that he is doing, and I'm going, man, I can probably knock off 3 or 4 years of time just helping you navigate that journey that you're about to go on. Because it's very exciting in the beginning. Remember when you first started Mouse Calls, Alan? How exciting was that when you first started?
Oh, I remember the first call. I remember I remember the guy's name. His name was Chuck Bader, and he owned a company called Classics International. And I was over the moon. And he ended up being a client for years, but um, it was extraordinarily liberating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that he was talking to me about, Alan, the other night is and you might remember this, is he goes, dude, I am so, like, he just started his business, I think, in October. And he's like, man, I can't sleep at night. I go to bed thinking about my business. I wake up thinking about my business. Man, I think about it 7 days a week. I am so fired up. You know, he's in that honeymoon stage that all of us go through.
Yeah, yeah. And that can flip on you real quick. That can turn itself on its head and land on you before you even realize that it's happened.
Yeah. But I tell you what, every first business I built was a network marketing business, and it was Jay Cuccia who sponsored me in that business. It was a network marketing company. I was fired up. I didn't know anything at all about business. I was just fired up to be in business. And then when I found out I had to learn how to sell, I was like, this isn't, he wanted me to go out and talk to perfect strangers. I was just coming out of tech school. I'm like, I don't do that sort of thing. I mean, and I didn't realize what it took to actually build a company. And so the excitement lasted for maybe 5 or 6 months. And then I realized, oh, I didn't realize all this was involved. And that first business failed miserably because I hated sales. And it wasn't until 1996 when I got back in the same business, but under a different sponsor, if you will. And he was a sales master, a guy named Dave Vanny. And I said, man, if I don't ever learn the art of selling in sales, I will never succeed in business. And that brings me to the first point. And I'm going to ask you this, Alan. It's like, when you go look back on your tenure in business, at what point when you started that company did you realize that you have to become a salesperson?
You know, it wasn't quite like that. I mean, it was, but what dawned in my brain because of the industry I'm in was not so much sales, but I realized after I hired my first tech in 2003 that I needed to learn what account management was, because very, very quickly it became apparent as I began hiring more people. And this was based on feedback from my client base and my own personal observation. They weren't me. And I had to trust them to do a great job and provide a great experience, but they were not me and they were never going to be me. And so culture came into the mix. And then when we did have prospects, it became very, very clear that I needed to take charge of that. For example, we had in 2006, I had a woman come into our office, and she was the VP of the Special Olympics of Tennessee. And she had been referred by another nonprofit that we supported. And I realized really quickly, I'm looking around, and at the time I had a staff of about 8 people. And like the only one that has any business talking to this woman is me, because nobody can talk about the company like I can. And then of course that evolves into, who do you want to be the face? Who do you who can talk about it, who can promote it better than you. And then at the same time, you want to do such a kick butt job that
Mm-hmm.
if somebody asks you, well, why should I listen to you? You own the company. Of course, you're going to talk good about it. You say, don't listen to me. Talk to these clients. Talk to this base of people. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, it was certainly something that was completely out of my comfort zone. I never, ever felt natural or at ease in the sales process before I had my own business. Now, when I built a business, and it took years and years, when I built a business that I was proud of and confident in, then it sort of became natural because I had a passion for it. I knew we did a good job. I knew we had differentiators. And
Mm-hmm.
talking about those things, what is that? That's sales. There's a consultant in the field that says something like, sales is nothing more than educating a person about something that they don't currently have that they actually do need.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, I soon realized, and I think for me, what scared me the most, what frightened me the most is this was in the 90s, and I had grown up in the 70s and 80s where, you're sitting down, as a family for dinner, and you get this telemarketing call, and it's constant. This is back before the do not call list. And I just remember thinking to myself, I don't want to be that guy, And so when I got told, hey, if you want to succeed in business, you need to master the art of sales. My translation, my perception, and this is one of the key principles I've learned over the years, is perception is reality, is I just learned that, I didn't want to be that pushy guy, that pest, that sleazebag. I mean, I had all kinds of names for a salesperson, and Dave helped me realize that, selling is not about pushing someone to buy something that they don't benefit from. It's helping someone get the answers to the questions that they have in order to buy the thing that they want. And so most people don't walk into a store. Most people don't walk into a store, a showroom. They don't contact you because they're just browsing. Some people do. But most people are there because they want to buy something. And so my job is to ask lots of questions. And I didn't understand it in the very beginning. I learned over the years that the best salespeople ask a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And the more questions you ask, the more you can understand what that person is looking for. And so what separates amateurs from professionals is professionals soon understand it's like, I can't sell anything. I can't sell somebody on really anything. All I can do is help them gain clarity around what it is that they want, and then help them find what they want. And when I do that, a sale is made. Would you agree with that? Right?
I would totally agree with that. And let me put another spin on this prospect that I'm meeting with tomorrow morning, as a great example. They're reaching out because they're unsure about their current security situation. This is a healthcare client, and they have a current IT company, and they're happy with them, but this prospect is unsure about their own security because they don't get any account management. They don't get any reports monthly or weekly from the IT company. They don't know these things. So yesterday I asked just a couple of questions. Have they ever talked to you about HIPAA compliance? No, they haven't. And I said, okay, do they ever contact you? Do they ever have sit downs with you to talk about your infrastructure, or do you get reports that show that the firewall is doing its job or anything like that? And he said, no, every time we call them and ask them, they just say, nope, we got you covered. We got you covered. We got you covered. They verbally, we got you covered. And the prospect has enough questions of their own that aren't getting answered, that they're reaching outside of their provider that they're happy with to get some questions answered. So, I mean, that the table is set for me to go in there and ask these questions and determine whether or not they actually are as secure as they're being led to believe that they are. So that is a discovery / sales process. It's not very different from somebody walking up on that car lot and the salesperson going out saying, okay, well, let's start 2-door, 4-door. It's a collaboration.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was interesting is I was having a conversation at the Optimist. Every Thursday, I am part of what's called an Optimist Club. And it's a group of people that meet. They're business owners, entrepreneurs, and they meet every single week, for a purpose of helping out underprivileged children, right? And 98% of the people in that group are business owners. And so one of the things that we were talking about when I was in that group today is, you know what? Every single business has something to offer someone, and it's usually solving a problem. And so in the dialogue that I was having with this individual, I'm going, he runs I think it's like a $4.5 million roofing company. The company's been around for 32 years, super profitable. And he's like, oh my God, dude, it's like all I do every day is just solve problem after problem after problem after problem. Like, what's the problem? And he's like, and he goes, dude, it's just never ending. I'm going, would you rather not have problems to solve? And he thought about it for a minute, and he goes, well, no, I wouldn't be in business. I'm like, bingo. We're in business. Businesses exist to solve a problem. And even travel agencies exist to solve a problem. And the problem is, in a travel agency, is I don't want to go through all the hassle of booking the airfare, the cruise, the trip, the scuba diving, all the stuff that goes along with it. I want somebody else to take that problem on. And so the mindset shift that I had to do many years ago is realize problems are my friend. They are a joy to have, and I will get paid in direct proportion to the size of problem that I solve. And so the bigger the problem, the more opportunity there is for me and for other network partners. So if you're a small business owner and you're listening to this recording, you're on the live feed, understand you don't want those problems to go away. What you want is you want more problems to solve, because if you embrace the fact that you're a problem solver, that directly results into increased revenues, increased profitability, increased margins, and you can put yourself in a situation where you can bring on different network partners. And so that's really the number one foundation in sales, is to ask enough questions to your prospective customer to understand what those problems are. And then the magic bullet is only present your product or service in a way that solves the problems that they said they had, not the problems you've identified that you think they should solve, okay, that you think are important. If you have not verified it's important to them, don't waste any time. You will lose the sale in most cases. But if you focus on the problems that they said that they wanted to solve, 95% of the time, they're going to buy from you. And once somebody has a buying experience from you and they gave you money for what you gave them, and it turned out that what you sold them solved their problem, then it's so much easier to go back for that second sale, that third sale, that fourth sale. So that's kind of the tip number one today as far as sales is concerned. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit here. Well, before we go on, people on the live call, do you have any questions about what we've talked about so far? Do you have any specific questions about your unique business that you would like us to take on? Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. While I take a drink of coffee here.
No, I don't at the moment.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's talk about morning routine and the importance of taking care of yourself first. And so it starts off with a morning routine. So there's all kinds of resources out there. There is the Miracle Morning. It's a really good resource, the 5 a.m. Club. I'm going through another training right now with another person. But at the end of the day, if you get up in the morning early before the sun rises and you follow any majorly successful person on this planet, you will find that that's what they do. And so what is a morning routine? So Alan, let me ask you this. What do you do personally for your own morning routine?
Well, I was going to sleep in this morning, just a tiny bit, but I did not. I woke at 5. One thing that I started doing back in 2012 was getting up typically around 5 and walking. I'm near a parks system. I'm near a greenways system, and I figured it out. I figured out, what to wear in August versus what to wear in January. And as time went on, I tried to do that rain or shine. There obviously some mornings with Nashville, Tennessee weather, you can't do it. But I know that for me, getting out in fresh air, regardless of the temperature, and just getting that body moving, getting the mind moving, no electronics unless want to take a note real quick. But I'm not text necking, not staring down at my phone while I'm walking. I'm planning out the day, but also not only am I thinking of business, but I try to make a point to tune business out and to appreciate what I'm looking at, to appreciate my surroundings. Because if you don't shake up the day, if you're not able to change those channels, so to speak, then you will find yourself in that burnout spiral that I was alluding to before. And that is something that, here we are 9 years later. That's something that I try to do, if not on a daily basis, at least 3 to 4 times a week. I try to get in 12,000 steps a day. Got my watch set to check that, and usually I'm pretty good at it. I've already crossed that threshold today. But there are some mornings when I will do that and listen to an audiobook. And some mornings, most mornings, all I listen to is the sound of the world waking up. And that's plenty by itself. But that if I miss that, if it's pouring down rain or some such, then it affects me. It does. It leaves a mark because you haven't quite gotten off to the roaring start that you wanted. And you can, a lot of people will go to the gym or what have you. I've never been really in. It's not my thing. I would much rather get the outside air. But that is something that's been. I can't begin to express the amount of value that's had to me over the past 9 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got introduced to a morning routine, probably 1995. And really it was a speaker on stage that really helped me understand that you can't take care of your family, your business, your spouse, the people that you care about the most, your employees, your company, if you don't take care of yourself first. And so, most of us get up. At the time when I was being taught this, I had to be at work at 5 a.m. And so I knew exactly how much time it would take to get up out of that bed, get dressed, hop in my car. I had the lights timed just right to clock in, because I was working at a place where you had to punch a time clock, and you would get written up if you were late, And so I would time it, man. I'd have it down to, 1 or 2 minutes early or right there on time. And that was my morning routine. It's like I wanted to sleep in as long as possible. Okay. Because I hated getting up. I hated going to that job. And I had not been taught certain success principles. And that is, you know what? If you own your morning, you can own your life. And when I finally learned that lesson, I started getting up earlier, at least an hour to an hour and a half before I had to be anywhere. And what I was taught early on is like, you know what? The first thing that I want you to do is write out the top 5 things that you're grateful for. You woke up. What are the top 5 things that you're grateful for? So I did that for many years. And then I started going, okay, I started adding some scripture to it and some Bible reading and some journaling. And then I think it was 2014, I met Grant Cardone, and he gave me a morning routine that worked beautifully. And that is I would get up and I would say, okay, I would whip out a blank sheet of paper, write the date at the top, and go, what are the top 5 goals that I'm going after? Whatever came to my mind, I had to write down. I just asked myself, what do I want? What do I want to be, do, and have? What do I want? I'm alive. Obviously, I'm here for a reason. What do I want? And you need to write it down as if it had already happened in a present positive statement. Then come up with a quote for yourself for the day. Then what are the top 5 or 6 targets that you want to hit today? What are the 5 or 6 most important things that you need to get accomplished today? And then at the end of the day, write down your top 5 or 6 successes that you had today. And then right before you go to bed, ask yourself the question, what do I want? Write down your top 5 goals again. Your brain would sleep on that. And because one of the things I've learned with brain research is our conscious mind is controlled by our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind is nothing more than a recording device, and it regurgitates what we feed it. And so if I feed it the things that I want, then before I go to sleep, then it works on that all throughout the night. And it's amazing how you accomplish goals just by writing those things down. And the one thing that Grant said to me that was very pivotal is he said, okay, most people write their goals down once a year, sometimes twice a year. If you follow this system, you're going to write your goals down over 700 times. And so who do you think is going to win between you and the competition? A person that writes down their goals 700 times or a person that writes down their goals twice? And it made sense. And so I remember Grant Perry and we started this at the same time, and it was a pain in the butt. It was a new habit. And so one of the things that psychologists tell us is it takes about 66 days to create a habit. And so I started doing this, and I committed to do it for 66 days. Didn't understand the power of it. But all of a sudden, man, I started hitting this goal, that goal. My income increased, my business increased, my association increased. All the things that I was going after just naturally started showing up because my brain, my spirit, the the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, started focusing on the things that I wanted. And so since then, I've gotten many more things, but the morning routine is really one of those things that's very personal. I'll tell you that from personal experience. There is some very powerful magic to beating the sun up. So whether it's 5 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever that turns out to be for you, I don't know about you, Alan, but there's a certain peace at that time of the morning. Nobody's doing anything. Everybody else is asleep. And it's just you. And you get to connect with yourself on a whole different level, but it really is a powerful way to start your day. Now, I'd be absolutely lying if I stood here and said, I do this every day, which I don't. But I will tell you right now, the days that I do it, my entire day is completely powerful, different. I show up at a higher level, a lot more energy. I get a lot more stuff done. And so what's been your experience with your own morning routine?
I think going back to what you said a minute ago, that feel, that vibe, if you execute it right, then yeah, I mean, I love to get out. I love to get out before the world wakes up. I love to get out before the first light is in the sky. And one of the reasons for that is because it's kind of like all around you, everything is slowed down, but you haven't. Maybe it takes a cup of coffee or two, get you, but you haven't. So you can, in my case, yeah, I go walking, I get my mind clear, I refocus on what my big picture goals are, and also things that I can tackle during that particular day. But when I do circle back around, if it's like 6 or 7 o'clock and I'm done getting my steps in, then there's still a considerable amount of time before the business world gets cranking. And provided there are no fires to put out, which is 98% of the time, then all of a sudden I can plan out the next 2 to 3 days. I can take the next hour or two and allocate my calendar in such a way that I've got control over what's happening during the day rather than reacting to it. And that is priceless. That is for any business owner, that is absolutely priceless, because that is talking about mistakes. That is one of the great mistakes that it took me forever to figure out. And that was in the early years, actually probably the first 10 years of the business. I felt like I felt like I was successful if I was having to react, because that meant that we were busy. That meant that there was a lot going on. And around 2009, I had a family member in from out of town who visited our office and called it a hornet's nest. Just constant putting, and that's when I started really having some introspection about my health and what I was really building here and what kind of business model this was, and that's when the beginnings of some changes started to happen, at least in my mind. And they weren't immediate, but man, there's no way, there is no way that I could be where I am now and not have that self-care time. And I'm going to say I'm not good at it. There's a guy named Peter Shankman who is a published author, and he's actually got a coaching group. He was an executive with AOL very early on and did very, very well and founded some other organizations. But his mind goes 1,000 miles an hour, and he comes up with all these ideas constantly. And he gets up at 3:30 every day. Another business owner who I'm friends with here, who's very, very successful, he's up at 4 a.m. every day. you know, and I try 4:30 to 5 every day. And like I said, I'm not as perfect as I want to be. 3 to 4 to 5 days a week during the summer, I can pretty much nail it. But I don't know what I would do without it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the timing of this call is perfect. I just hired a new mentor. His name is Sharon. I'm going to try to pronounce his last name. Srivastava, right? Okay. I probably butchered his name, right? But the guy went on to build a $3.35 billion company. And the company, let me give it to everybody for kind of reference, is, where did he go? TELUS. Okay. So he grew TELUS to $3.4 billion. And so I'm kind of going through his mentorship right now. And one of the things that I went through this morning is his morning routine. And I mean, talk about timing for this call. It's like, but I think I'm going to adjust my morning routine to what this guy made me go through this morning, which is he talks about a brain dump. And basically he whips out his journal. And so I went and got where's my backpack here? Went and got a composition book, a little cheap composition book. And, something like this. Okay. And basically I opened up both pages. And, he has a little section there. He calls it a brain dump. He's like, hey, you've been sleeping all night long. And he's like, this is what millionaires and billionaires do. This is what I teach. He coaches clients that are nine-figure CEOs and billionaires. And he's like, this is the number one thing I give them for their morning routine is get up in the morning, whip out a journal, blank, and you're just going to do a brain dump. Before you even get started with the day, go make your coffee or whatever, but just do a brain dump. And whatever is on your mind, I'm stressed about this, I'm concerned about this, I'm thinking about this, whatever it is that you're thinking about, get it out of your head and onto a piece of paper. And so on the right side of the paper, so let me kind of draw this out, is on the right side of the paper, okay, you draw a line, okay? And all the rest of the paper is just start brain dumping all the stuff that's in your head. And on the right-hand side is your task list. So things that you brain dump that need to get done, put it in a task list on the right that needs to make it to your calendar or your task management system. But he said, if you just get up in the morning and you whip out a sheet of paper and you brain dump all the crap going on in your head, then you're going to be free. You're going to be able to go at the day with a clean slate. And I was like, that is brilliant. And so I did it this morning. I'm like, I got up and I went through my thing here and I just started brain dumping. And I came up with, the challenge was I came up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 things that I now have to get done. But the point is all that stuff was out of my head. And he's like, I want you to take as much time. Sometimes it might take 5 minutes. Sometimes it may take 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But whip out a blank sheet of paper. You can draw on the paper, draw pictures, write words, whatever it is that symbolizes what it is that's on your mind. I want you to brain dump all that stuff out of your head and onto paper. And the reason you need to do it on paper is because it slows your brain down. It slows you down to actually write it out. And it reduces stress. And so when you reduce stress, productivity increases. When you have stress, productivity decreases. And this exercise is what people pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to teach them, is if you can reduce your stress your productivity increases dramatically. He says you can get more done in a day than most people get done in a week because you're completely stress-free and everything is basically brain dumped out of your head. And so I kind of changed my morning routine up this morning. I did just that. And I tell you, man, it was talk about a stress reliever, talk about freedom, talk about going at my day with just, incredible peace and clarity. That was one tip. The other tip is he's like, when it comes to email, only, he says, you need to triage your email.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Don't respond. Okay. And I didn't even know iPhone had this. And I've had an iPhone for a long time. But apparently in the iPhone, I can swipe left and that archives it. I can swipe right and then I can schedule the email for later. I didn't know I could do that. And so he's like, just triage your email. But you're not allowed to respond to your email on your cell phone. The only place you're allowed to respond to your email is on a keyboard when you're in front of a computer. And he says that will add probably 10 hours a week back to your life by doing that. And he's like, you're only going to triage things. But it started with that morning routine of brain dumping all that stuff out of your head. So now you're free. It gives you a lot of creativity to expand and grow in your business. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today when it comes to morning routine. And for the sake of time, we're kind of running out of time here. But next week, we're going to really dive into referral systems, ways to increase revenue, ways to add new clients. Because you could probably attest to this, Alan. I mean, more clients, more revenue solves a lot of problems in business.
Cash flow solves problems, period. And there's not much more that needs to be said, frankly, than that.
Yeah. So, but if you don't take care of you, the owner, first it starts here, and then it starts with your physical being, eating right. Like my wife and I just started up with, we're going to go through this program, and I've seen some amazing results from a lot of people I personally know. But what's funny is know your strengths and know your weaknesses. And so when the guy was talking to me about this program, I'm like, dude, I've heard about this program for 10 years. I know a lot of people, and I'm not even going to mention what the program is at this point because I want to make sure I have results before I even mention it. But I just told him, I'm like, I won't follow it. I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. The only way I'll get on this program is if my wife is on board. Why? Because she's the one that will be consistent with it. I will not. So if she can buy off on it, and I'm going to get to what the point of what I'm talking about here. If she can buy off on it and commit to do it, then I know I personally will be successful with it because she'll manage me. Okay. Now, here's the point of what I'm trying to say. One of the best lessons I've ever learned as a business owner is to understand as an owner what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and stop trying to turn your weakness into a strength. Okay, let me repeat that. Knowing what your strengths are, knowing what your weaknesses are, and stop trying to turn your weakness into a strength. The best thing that you can do as a business owner, the best lesson I've ever learned as a business owner, is to automate, delegate, or outsource a weakness. If you try to turn your weakness into a strength, you're going to waste a lot of time. You're going to waste a lot of money. You're not going to succeed at it. And you're going to be frustrated and your stress level is going to go through the roof. Okay? Too many small business owners want to go at it alone and they want to drag it out as long as they can without hiring a contractor, hiring an employee. And it's like, you're never going to scale, ever. You're never going to grow beyond you. And so it's being humble and understanding I'm not good at this. And I need to find somebody that's good at that. Warren Buffett, like him, don't like him. I actually like the guy, has said it perfectly. It's like when he puts together a board of directors, he has to be the dumbest person in the room when he walks in. If there's anybody in that room that's smarter than that's dumber, that he's smarter than they are, he gets rid of them on the board. Because he understands I'm only good at 1 to 3 things. And if I have to do more than 1 to 3 things in my company, I've hired the wrong people. I've put together the wrong board of directors. And so never be afraid of hiring somebody, outsourcing, delegating, but understanding your strengths and maximizing those strengths, minimizing your weaknesses. Because I know it's like if I don't, my wife is 100% consistent at that type of this type of like health program or diet program or whatever the hell it is that we're going to follow. I won't succeed at it, but I know she'll push me, and if she can just lay out my day, I'll follow it. But if she's not going to do that, I'm not going to succeed with it. So why would I buy it?
Well, not only do you want to outsource or bring in people that are smarter or can fulfill that role, but you have to allow them to do it. Once you've done that, once you've brought them in, you've got to allow them to bring their strengths to the table and not be a what's the term? Not be a helicopter, you've heard helicopter parent. Somebody that's always hovering, looking over their shoulder, making sure that they're doing something the way that you would. Maybe they're doing it better. Maybe they're doing it better than you would. So you've got, it's very much a mindset. And that kind of goes back to something you were saying earlier. A business is never going to scale beyond the self-worth of the owner, but self-worth also manifests itself in a lot of unfortunate ways. And that's one of them.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned early on the law of the lid. John Maxwell wrote it in his book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And number 1 rule is the law of the lid, meaning your business will never outgrow your self-image. And I've had a couple of clients over the last 8 years where we've done incredible work. Grown the business to be super duper profitable, great staff, great team, but the owner stopped doing their morning routine, stopped growing personally, and the business outgrew their self-image. And as a result, they started self-sabotaging and wanting to gain more and more control. And so when I was playing golf with one of the guys at the Optimist Club today, been in business 31 years, $4.5 million company, super profitable company. He was frustrated. He goes, I'd love to just get a fifth wheel and go and travel for 2 or 3 months, but man, I'm just such a micromanager. And I just told him, I'm like, if you don't solve that problem, and he's got to be probably 65, 66 years old at the time, right now. And I go, if you don't solve that problem and get over yourself, you're never going to have the freedom that you want, right? You're the problem, And if you don't take that and switch it mentally and get somebody to help you with that, you have lots of employees. You have a great company. You have a guy that you're mentoring to run the company. You need to let go of certain types of control in order to have that freedom. Otherwise, you're never going to scale. And this is where, you think about it, 31 years in business, $4.5 million in revenues. His brother, has the same exact company, but they're doing 45 million, actually 43 million. The difference between the two is the brother has understood I need to hire executives and management and supervisors and give them control and not be the big deal. Okay. And this guy, instead of doing that, is being the helicopter owner, and he wants to be the big deal, you know? And so we had a conversation about that, and he's like, God dang, man, you're right. You know, I need somebody like you to tell me what to freaking do. I'm like, dude, you just need to get to the point where you are willing to let go of certain controls in your business and hire the right people. And I'll leave you with this, is because we'll hit on this next week with sales, and I want to talk about staffing and hiring the right people and putting the right people on the bus. If you get the right person on the bus, man, the thing that you can do the most is help them be as successful as they possibly can be within your company.
Yeah.
Help them be the rock star, help them be the superstar. You want them to be better than you, because that is the only way you actually get your freedom in business. And so otherwise you have to show up all the time. You have to show up every day, you know? And so I kind of felt small to the guy, because I don't have a $4.5 million company. I've had one in the past, but I'm like, you know, and I just told him, I'm like, dude, this is Thursday. I've played golf Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week. And you've only played 4 times this year. What's wrong with that picture? Here's what's wrong with that picture. This is why I left it up on the board. Steve Napolitan in 2015 helped me design the life that I wanted to live, and then helped me build a business that supports that life. And what you have to do, for those of you that are watching the recording, is you have to design the lifestyle that you want to have and build your business around that to support it. And it starts with you getting your head right. Once you get your head right, hiring the right team, employing the right people, and giving them the power to make decisions in your business when you're not around. And if they don't perform, you find somebody else who will. Okay? So with that said, what time is it? Any closing thoughts, Alan?
No, this is a great first run. I want to thank you for asking me to be a part of it. This is going to be a massive amount of fun. There's an endless supply of content that comes from real life, real struggles, and that never stops. That's part of the beauty of also being a business owner, is you will never figure out every final solution. You know, Elon Musk does not go to bed every night thinking, well, you know what? I've got every single thing right. It doesn't, life does not work that way. And I still every day, you know, look at my own strengths and weaknesses. I look back 10, 15 years and realize that a lot of the weaknesses that I know I have, I wasn't even aware of back then. And you know, it's a consistent evolution, but things happen. And again, from the tech world to the security world to the business owner world, I very much look forward to exploring all these things with you on a weekly basis. This is going to be a blast.
Be a blast. So we're going to do this every Thursday going forward. Why are we doing it? Because we can, number one. Number two is both Alan and I are in business, and we're dealing with business problems all the time. And the one thing I've learned a long time ago is the more you give, the more you receive. And so it'll come back. I have no idea how it's going to come back, but I just know that I'm a business owner. You're a business owner. The people on here are business owners. We all have what I've discovered since I started coaching business owners exclusively since 2014 is about 85-90% of the problems are the same across the board. There's about that 10 to 15% that's unique to that business. And so we're just going to come here live on Thursday. We're going to share what's going on in our own businesses. We're going to take your questions. You can put them all in the chat window. We're going to answer any questions that you have. We're going to help you mastermind on that. There's plenty of other business owners on here that can provide you feedback on any business challenge that you have. I would highly recommend when you show up here, I've left it open where you can rename yourself. I would keep live on video, just simply because when it streams live on YouTube, only the people that are on video actually stream to YouTube. The ones that don't have their video on do not stream to YouTube. It's just the recording here. Then I would rename yourself like I did with Alan, with his name, what his title is, and his URL to his website. Because the thousands of people this is going to go out, it's free advertising. So we're all business owners. There's a Facebook group. And so if you're not a part of the Facebook group, just send me an email, jpyron@johnpyron.com. I'll add you to the Facebook group. Look up the 10X Business Owners Mastermind group. It's on Facebook. Be a part of that group. It's going to be a culture there. We're going to develop lots and lots of followers. I started something like this back in 2013, grew it to hundreds, thousands of people. And our whole goal is to help you, the small business owner. And so if you can benefit from anybody's products or services on this group, definitely share their website and connect with them. If you want to connect with me, just go to johnpyron.com. That's JOHNPYRON.com. Connect with me. I'd love to chat with you. But go out and make it happen. I hope this has been valuable. If it has touched you, if you receive value from it, share it, like it, disseminate it out to your social networks, promote it. Come here with questions in the future so we can help you out. All right? Go out.